Calvin. He said he not sleepy, but he out here doing this.
What are you talking about, bro? No, I'm joking.
All right, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Traveling Hoopers. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew. I didn't tell y'all that last week, just in case y'all forgot who I am. And in front of me are two co-hosts, Calvin McGowan, Philip Dixon. Guys, go ahead and let the people hear your voice.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Calvin McGowan, here once again to grace everyone with my presence. So it's good to be here.
What's up, everybody? My name is Philip Dixon. To grace everyone with my presence. Nice to be here.
This is up. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the first game that we really want to talk about. That Boston Celtics matchup, New Orleans Pelicans. Everybody who is going to be, somebody, a face of the league basically going forward, showed up. Zion was clutch. 13 in the fourth quarter. Brandon Ingram looked really good, making strides that I didn't really see as a distributor last year. Josh Hart is a really good defender who's going to be a very valuable player in this league going forward. Jaylen Brown is always going to do his thing. He's super solid. Jason Tatum, can we talk about just the way he plays and like the pace he comes out of his moves with? Like it's just like a really awkward, fun game. Like everybody who's supposed to show up in a marquee game like that showed up. So notes, anything that you guys want to add?
I mean, you said it. Everybody who was supposed to, quote unquote, show up, showed up. I was just thinking, when watching this game, or when the game finished, actually, that this is like you have other people from other parts of the NBA, other teams in the NBA that are going to be like faces of the league, whatever. Well, whatever. But the talent in the NBA doesn't get better than what we saw in terms of pure basketball, right? Like the only other thing you do is as like, okay, somebody got like a much better shooter, right? In terms of just like a pure shooter, kind of like a Trey Young, right? Somebody who just shoots threes all day long. Well, take that away, and this was the best kind of young basketball game you could possibly have. Also, even when it comes to straight threes, Lonzo Ball in the last 10 games is shooting 48% from the three-point line. So you can't get better than that when it comes to shooting. He just doesn't go out there. And he's actually taking more threes per game than Kevin Durant this year. But you don't actually go out, but he's not going out there making, shooting 10, 15 threes a game like some of the other players do. You know what I mean? That was a little hyperbole, but you get what I mean. So I guess I'll just go down each player one by one. So I'll start with the Pelicans. Zion had a not typical Zion first half.
Yeah.
But by the end of the game, he had put up, typical Zion numbers. Zion's a man playing with children. He had a play on Tristan Thompson, and at the end of the game, and he literally made Tristan Thompson look like a boy. Like, there was no way to spice it up and make it more articulate. He literally made Tristan Thompson, NBA champion, overpaid Tristan Thompson. But Tristan Thompson looked like a child because he just went through him without taking a charge. He just put his shoulder down and just went. And Tristan Thompson, all of a sudden, on the floor, Zion, and won. Yeah. Zion was just doing
what he did to Daniel Tice was disrespectful. I still think he should have got a technical for him. Just because it was super funny, bro. The way he looked at him, you jump all the way up. Like he looked at him like, I'm banging on you next time, right?
Zion. The thing is, Zion's disrespectful is very disrespectful because he's So, okay, so you know players that come in the NBA and they're like in their 20s or like 20 or like 19 and they seem like grown men. Like they like you just seem like they're older than what they are. Like
Yeah.
for your typical 19, 20-year-old you see like walking around every day in life. Zion feels like a child, like a kid. He just seems like a kid out there having fun, and no one wants to get bullied and dunked on and treated like a child by a child. It's pretty ridiculous. Because he's not even 21 yet, so it's pretty ridiculous. So there's that. And then you have Brandon Ingram. The issue is with Brandon Ingram, unless you pay attention, you don't know because Brandon Ingram's not going to get as much shine as other players because when he played for Los Angeles Lakers, he doesn't talk too much. He doesn't have any controversy amongst them. He kind of just goes out there and does him. But if you watch him game to game, or you watch even not even game to game, you watch him year to year, he's killing. Like he's legitimately killing. Top 20 NBA scoring. Uh, he is a knockdown 3-point shooter now. And he's a legitimate playmaker, like a legitimate playmaker. And
Yeah.
you can't stop him from scoring because he's so long. It's incredible. He doesn't have like the most elite footwork, but he has good footwork. But the moves are elite because he's 6'10" with a
Yeah.
wingspan that goes out the room. Like
And he looks super athletic. Like it's quick. Like he just kind of knows what to do with it. It's not like a lot of wasted movement.
it's not a lot of waste movement at all. He just knows what he's doing on the basketball court, and it's crazy. And like you said, and he needs to get more. He just gets his just due, I guess. You said Josh Hart. Josh Hart's going to be, Josh Hart's going to be this generation's, we're going to grow up. We're going to be like in our 40s and telling kids, man, that kid reminds me of Josh Hart. And these people out there going to be like, who's Josh Hart? Josh Hart's going to be like one of those players, right? The next generation won't remember him, but he's a dog. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guard that's going to go out there and get you double-digit rebounds. He's going to go out there and play nose to the ground, get and ones, layups, be an average shooter, be this, that, whatever, but he's just going to be diving for the loose ball. He's going to be one of those players, right? And he is one of those players. And this game really shined from that in that direction. I already mentioned Lonzo Ball on the offense 3-point line, but also Lonzo Ball was he's the best defensive player on the Pelicans.
That
And
backcourt between that backcourt defense between Josh and Lonzo.
Lonzo's the best defensive
Crush.
player. It's not close.
You said what?
You bet Lonzo's the best defensive player on the Pelicans. That's not close. Like he was killing on defense. So that's why every time at the end of the game, they said we need somebody to score. They gave the ball to whoever Josh Hart was guarding, because which was Jason Tatum. But usually at the end of the games, they get the ball to Jason Tatum, or they kind of alternate between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, whatever. But the last couple of games, we've seen Lonzo Ball. People have made shots on Lonzo Ball to like win the game, right? So you saw Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns a couple of games ago. He made a 3 on Lonzo Ball to finish the game. Then you saw Damian Lillard got an and one on Lonzo Ball to finish the game. But that doesn't depict the whole game, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, Damian Lillard's playing like an MVP level. And then Chris Paul's like crazy crafty. It is what it is, right? You win some, you lose some. It's basketball. It's NBA basketball at that. But if you watch the whole game, and you watch this whole game or any other national game the Pelicans play, just watch Lonzo Ball play defense on these elite level guards, and you'll be surprised. Now, for some reason, my YouTube keeps recommending me videos of people clowning Lonzo Ball. The captures are like clowning Lonzo Ball like this year, and then I look at them and go, oh, these people don't know basketball. Like I watched 1 or 2 of the videos early on when YouTube recommended them to me, and I was like, oh, these people are just These people are just like, oh, we hate Lonzo Ball. He's a Ball family member, and we only know him from the Lakers coming. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was very obscene. But at the end of the day, he just like Brandon Ingram and has that reputation that he has to like shake his shoulder of from the Lakers. Lonzo Ball has to do the exact same thing, and they're on the right path to doing so. Does that make sense? But then you go to the Celtics. Yes, they lost. Whatever. Jason Tatum has the most elite footwork in the NBA. Arguably. Arguably, he's top 3. His footwork's so stupid. He looks like he can score on any possession. Like, even when he misses, I think he's scoring. At the end of this past game, he hit Josh Hart with a spin move, like a spin move off the dribble, fadeaway that was so stupid that when he did it, I was on my couch. I just stood up. I I just stood up. And I just looked at the TV like, what? No one can stop that move.
Did you see how Josh Hart reacted to it?
The only way you could react to it.
It's like, bro, I've never seen anybody slow down out of the fadeaway and then just have full control of the shot. Like that's like the first time I've ever seen that. Or
I
legitimately
thought he was gonna travel. I was like, oh, he's gonna travel. He's off balance. That spin, but the spin into like the to where off his pivot foot, he kind of leaned forward to create separation with his other foot. I was like, oh, it's too far. He's gonna fall. He's gonna slip. And he just brought it right back. It went straight up. I was like, what? That was crazy.
he did that in he did something similar in the first half, like on the left side.
Yes.
I forgot who was guarding him, and I was just like, what is going on here? Did you just did you like almost lose the ball and you like caught yourself and then
He does it all the time. He does it all the time. Like if you watch Jason Tatum play, he does this all the time. He scores or looks like he's gonna score so effortlessly, so effortlessly that it's obscene. Like it's truly obscene. Because Jaylen Brown scores, and he's really good at scoring, but it does not look nearly as effortless as Jason Tatum. And that's how you can tell, like, you can tell they're from good scores to elite scores. Because elite scores make it look effortless. Good scores will have to work it a little bit. And Jaylen Brown has come into being one of my favorite players in the NBA. But even with how skillful he is, it looks like there's effort being put into it. Brown looks like he's doing drills. Like it looks like the players are cones. The players are cones, and he's doing what he wants, and he's working out with the chairs. That's what it looks like. Well, it looks like everybody, like they're both really good scorers, but one looks like no effort's putting in, and the other one does. But Jaylen Brown also is. Do you still consider him underrated? Because I still consider him underrated somehow. Because I think he does not get the credit he gets for. He's at an elite level for like a tandem in the NBA. Mm-hmm. He is there. He's there, and he's nasty, and he will not make any All-Star teams. He's not sexy enough.
I thought he was making. I'm pretty sure he's an All-Star this year.
Is he All-Star this year?
Like he was top 5.
Wait, they haven't chose reserves yet.
You said what?
They haven't chose reserves yet, have they?
They haven't chose reserves, but I'm pretty sure he's going to get in there because he's like top 5 with, I want to say, like the fan vote, and then he's like top 2 with media. At least that's what they said from the last game. So I'm pretty sure he's getting that All-Star nod this year.
Okay, so
his numbers are too crazy for him not to.
Let's say he gets an All-Star, right? He's gonna be like a, what's a player comparison? I can't think of a player comparison right now, but a player's gonna be in it every so often. Like he's gonna be in the runnings every so often, right? Yeah. But like he won't always be a straight up All-Star. He'll be a straight up All-Star for fan votes because he plays in Boston, right? Like Boston has like that fan backing, but like he will be like a every so often All-Star, even though he deserves to be an All-Star every year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of player he's going to end up being for career. But the fact of the issue is not the issue. The fact of the thing is, all these players that I just went through, none of them are over 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
Not one. And then you got Boston. Like that tandem for Boston is just so stupid. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like it's scoring is ridiculous, and like this. They got Kemba Walker too, but Kemba Walker was getting what is it? Lonzo held him for 1 for 7, so it was a little. He was making him shoot threes, like he didn't want to shoot, and it was. People, it's funny because people on the internet, on Twitter, were like, "Kemba Walker can't make no shot." I'm like, "Do you see why he's not making a shot though?"
Hey, and Josh Hart was on his ass too.
Oh, like the defense, like the Pelicans' biggest issue this year has been consistent defense over the course of a game, right? They are at the top of the NBA in scoring and at the top of the NBA in points allowed. Because and it's just interesting because Stan Van Gundy's teams that's not usually the case for. The defensive minded coach. But they're learning new schemes.
Yeah.
They're trying to be cohesive with one another. And no matter how good Zion is on defense or on offense, Zion's a liability on defense for right now.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. And they're trying to figure out ways to work around that, and it just comes up short. But at the end of the game, when they needed them to clamp up on this game, and in the game that JJ Redick got tossed out of, the Pelicans clamped.
So goofy.
What you say?
Did you see how he got kicked out of?
I did.
That was so weird.
Yeah, I mean, but referees are stupid. Like I don't even know how to articulate that in a better way. Like referees are dumb. Like you see a couple moments every year of when refs seem to get power hungry and exhort their power upon the players, and it's just like you could throw them out. That pass hit him in the lower area, foot, shin, whatever, and it was a bounce pass. He didn't hit you in your chest. He didn't. And he put a little English on it. Get the ball and go. Like, it's that simple. I understand some circumstances of like you're doing too much for the ref, right? But then you get situations like this where it's like it wasn't like you underhand toss the ball to the ref or whatever. But then you get situations like this or situations where was a situation Tim Duncan stared at him or like, you know what I mean? Like, or laughing on the bench. A situation people staring at, like things like, okay, when you start rejecting people for that kind of stuff, it's like, what are you doing? But the NBA refs have situations like this every year where they might get into their feelings and be, feeling like they're treated badly or undermined or by the people who are actually playing the games, not the people who are just run up and down the court blowing whistles. But whatever. I digress.
Go ahead, Calvin. I know you was talking about this earlier.
So, I mean, one, I feel like this year in particular, not just with the NBA, but in general, I feel like even like on here, like I've complained about the refs a fair bit. But like, and not gonna get into it a whole lot, but apparently, Mark Cuban kind of like in some, I guess, recent interview, he went in on like the reffing and like the fact that apparently that it's like trash in a very fundamental way. Like not in like a no, like not in just like the calls you make, right? But in terms of like the training dudes get and like who you hire, like in a very basic fundamental way. Like it starts at the very beginning. Um, Assuming everything he says is correct. I have no reason to think man's lying, but like, but also it's just like it feels like one, it's just been kind of bad, which kind of kills the flow of games and such. But also like bad revving in the wrong places can decide games, right? Um, and like this is getting away a little from the Celtics-Pelicans game in part because I didn't really watch it. but like the game last night, the Clippers and the Nets, right? I think it was like the last like second to last or something possession of the game, right? So, like near the end of the game, a couple seconds left. I think the Nets are up by like 2, right? Harden is guarding, yeah, Harden was guarding Kawhi, right? And like Harden gets beat, like, and regardless of how you want to feel about defense, if you are shoulder to shoulder with the dude you're defending, you've gotten beat. And like Harden, I guess early in like on the drive, kind of like swiped and whatever. Kawhi is trying to get him off, just and like goes up basically like this, right? Harden flop, like just or whatever, and they call a charge. They called a charge, and it's just like you could have just you didn't even have to call anything. You could have just let it be decided by whether or not dude's gonna make the layup. It wasn't even a good call. Like I don't know, that bothers me deeply.
Refereeing that decides games is bad refereeing. I think that's like
I,
simple.
yeah, that's fair.
Does a
Like,
referee always decide the game?
No, not always, because the you got to weigh it out, right? And usually when you weigh it out, it's not from like some it's not from like some analytic, right? It's not from like an hindsight thing. Once you watch a game, you're like, you can just tell like this ref has a little too much of an impact in the game,
Yeah.
because once the ref has impact in the early in the game, then like players are affected by the calls. You know what I mean? What should they do? What can they do? What can they not do? So on and so forth. And it's not the rules of the game; it's the rules of the individual ref.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, it's you get down to ending possessions, and then you have situations like that happened with Kawhi and James Harden yesterday. But my question is, and I heard somebody say that the best NBA players in all of history have taken advantage offensively, have taken advantage of the rules, right? So
Yeah.
like James Harden, like nowadays, the players coming off of screens don't come off screens to make decisions. They come off screens to shoot the three and hope to get fouled on the 3-point line. You know what I mean? And I wonder if, and this is from like a pretty reliable person I listen to on like a podcast, whatever, about NBA basketball. And I wonder if that same thought process could be put into defense. Like, yeah, it's bad defense, yeah, whatever. But at the end of the day, they are taking advantage, and I do hate it. Like, I don't want it to seem like I like flopping, but they are taking advantage of the softness of the NBA. Like, and it's the exact same. I think it's the exact same thing as the flop on the 3-point line when you're shooting the three, right? Like you shoot three, you don't even want to make the three. You just flare your hands in the air, just hoping the ref calls something. And I
Yeah.
think on defense it's kind of the exact same thing. And it's just taking advantage of, once again, the softness of the NBA. What do you think about that?
so if I may, I think like it. Well, one, I think it's in general just harder to like take advantage of the rules on the defensive side of the ball because one, the rules are not on your side, right? In when in doubt, they err on the side of the offense, right? And that's before we get into the fact that like part of taking advantage of like the rules or whatever is not so much taking advantage of the rules themselves, but how they are enforced, right? Because like the thing is, especially like if when they do or like a dude is already said, come around. Let's say they went under the screen or whatever, or like tried to like just get jumped into like the situation where like you got the pump fake and whatever, and dude goes straight up and you just jump into him or whatever, right? Like that should be like a no call or like an offensive if anything, not because the defender had position. And like you can, and according to the rules, unless I've forgotten or something, you can jump straight up, and that's perfectly fine, right? That's not like you shouldn't be getting a foul called on you because you jumped straight up and the dude jumped into you, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how a lot of this stuff is called. right? It's called very much on the side of the offense, where like a lot of time, like you can get called for just about any contact, give or take your reputation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Zion definitely doesn't get the calls that already. Like already, he's not getting calls that like other players are getting. It's a little ridiculous.
You might get some of that LeBron syndrome, where it's just like you too big, you too strong.
But the thing is,
all that.
you can't give everyone the LeBron syndrome because LeBron's one in a lifetime individual who doesn't get hurt. Other people get hurt. So do you want them to get hurt? Do you want Facilis to get hurt? Because a lot of them aren't doing the James Harden where you just extend through and you just go for the arms. They're over here trying to like go to the rim and make a bucket, but they're just so big that you can't call it's ridiculous. And but when you talk about like the straight up on the three, a lot of what they call is actually, which is once again the players taking advantage of this, coming down like impeding the landing of the shooter, and that's why now a lot of the 3-point shooters are jumping forward instead of straight up on the jump shots. Like they want to create that, which is someone one day is going to get very, 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 very hurt on this tactic. But it's a new tactic, right? Of like the last couple of years to, oh, they're going to call this to impede my progress coming down, then I'm going to jump to you. And the NBA has not, or if NBA officiating at least, the players adjusted. The NBA or the offensive players adjusted at least. The defensive players still trying to figure out what's going on. But the rules have not adjusted to help the defense player out. But I don't think they're going to try their hardest to make that happen because the more offensive the game, the more money they'll make because the more exciting in quotes. So I doubt that there's going to be stringent changes with that. And they're just hoping for generations to die off who remember it as something else.
Yeah. Well, with you saying that, do you think it is because officiating at all levels is trash right now? High school basketball is laughable. We complain about it every year. Shot clock, blah, blah, blah. But this year is like really bad. They're just rewarding kids for being in front of people and they'll get like a charge call. Like feet still moving. Like dude doesn't even have the ball anymore. They'll still call it. At the college level, if there's any type of contact, there's going to be a call. Even like NFL, WNBA, we saw that they were complaining about calls all year. Is this a good sign if you're complaining about the officials? Because they are basically the opposing team in a way at this point.
I don't know how much of this is dependent on the fact that the referees can hear and see everything without the pressure of a crowd behind them. Because in a lot of places, there's not as much of a crowd, right? There's even if there's a crowd, it's a little bit of a crowd. Right. But with that being the case, they're officiating differently than ever had before because of unforeseen and different circumstances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the crowd bomb. Like if you're a ref, I don't care what you say. If you're a ref and a crowd is booing at you and cussing you out kind of stuff, that affects you in some kind of way. Like I don't care how stone cold you are, unless you're literally a serial killer, that's going to affect you in some kind of way. So I do think that the lack of a crowd presence is allowed, especially in like basketball, where the ref can just focus on the game itself and not the crowd, and the ref can hear certain things outside of because there's no crowd and so on and so forth. I do think that's making a difference. And that's for all, basketball levels, high school, college, and NBA.
So, kind of dovetailing real quick, there was a book I read a while ago. It basically said a decent chunk of like home field advantage in most sports basically boil down to the crowd, right? Like, because the crowd, like you said, can affect how refs ref. So, in that respect, yeah, some of it is probably the fact that they don't have thousands of people booing them all of a sudden because of a bad call or a questionable call. But I feel like part of the issue with why people complain about the refs isn't so much that like it isn't just like, oh, you never call anything or like you call everything. There doesn't feel like there's consistency to the calls, right? You call a touch foul on one end of the floor and then like a no call when a dude gets clobbered on the other end, or maybe even the same end. And I think when people like when we complain about it, that's mostly it's just like we like some consistency to it, and we'd like to feel like it doesn't decide games. And even with questionable officiating, it doesn't necessarily decide games until like you get down at the end and you make a bad call or something. But like that's not where the bulk of the bad officiating comes in. But like officiating bad is going to have an effect on the game. I don't think it's necessarily. I'm not sure if they're necessarily in opposition of players, but like you're going to get pushback if your job is to enforce the rules of like this arena, this sport we're playing, and like you don't do it like fairly evenly. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but like you call the same type of calls on both ends of the floor consistently. Like call the same type of stuff fairly consistently. Um, and also with like the defense and like having to adjust to like what offensive players like how offensive players the ways they find to abuse the rules effectively in some of the cases that we're talking about. Like you said, the jumping forward thing, which I haven't really noticed. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention. But like,
Excuse me.
as a defender, right? There's not a whole lot you can do about that, right? Not because the thing is, if they're jumping towards you, like you're already there. Like, what am I? So like, what are you supposed to do? Get out of the way or something? Like you're still trying to play defense. Like, what am I supposed to do? Not fight over the pick or like go under the pick or like play actual defense.
Yeah.
And like the way these things get called, it makes it next to impossible to actually play defense. It's like I can't touch him, can't stand in front of him, I can't look at him funny. But like with any luck, I can smack the shit out of him and not get called for it.
As long as you miss their head, because even if it's on accident and you're going for the ball, that's a flagrant. Even if it is, the person gets hit in the head, but it has no like damage to them, they just get doo doo. Like, granted, when did the NBA get so? When did the NBA get so tough on like hits to the head area, as if that's ever been an issue?
I don't have an answer.
Oh no, go ahead.
Like I don't have an answer, but if I have to take a guess, it'd probably be around the time, like if we go and look at it, that like the NFL started getting criticized for like the CT what's it CTE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that for the NFL because they're killing themselves literally, but the NBA never had somebody who had so much CTE that they went and killed their family and what you know what I mean? Like the NFL, that's like a pretty not unfortunately more not it's not common, but it's not surprising. Let me put it that way, right? Because of all the damage they take to the mental all the damage they break to the brain, whatever. It's like it comes with the sport, right? But the NBA, they and I hate to be it's weird because I'm in my 20s and I almost want to be like back in my day, but like I'm trying to figure out when that started to where they started calling it so, and I'm just gonna use the word soft, in terms of what a flagrant foul is, because it's not like the NBA ever had issues with they had issues with fouling hard, and I would argue it's not even issues, right? It's just playing the basketball how it was played at the time. But for
It's like you get clothesline.
like literally the only head trauma thing I can think of was when James Harden's neck snapped by Ron Artest. But that didn't even affect him like that. You know what I mean? Like he didn't because it didn't affect him like that. Like,
Me, that man he didn't play the rest of the series. That man went to sleep.
he didn't play a series. I'm talking about, in the NFL, people will not play for life. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, the
it's
series was also the last game of the season. Like the next joint was like the end of the season.
but that's the only one I
Like
can
you
think
go
of.
home.
But in terms of like head trauma, right? And I'm gonna use the word trauma because I'm not. This is whatever. It might be the right lingo. It might be
Yeah.
not. Whatever. I don't remember any other circumstance of where like, and that's because we were dealing with a nut. You know what I mean? And Ron Artest, or my bad, Meta World Test, whatever his name is now. Uh, it's not peace. It's not Meta or it's not peace. One of them is gone
Wait,
now.
he changed it again?
It's like back to like how it originally was. It's not Ron Artest, but it's like Ron World Peace or Meta Artest or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But uh, but I don't understand why that's an issue with flagrants in the NBA because now they're calling them for everything. But when did that start? I don't know. It's weird. I kind of noticed that the other day.
Yeah. They shifted the flagrant rules. I want to say in like the early 2010s because I do remember like it kind of just popped up. Like I remember watching basketball and then all of a sudden it was like flagrant one. I was like, what does that mean?
We get a call that stopped. We get a call that stopped on every game. That's a flagrant. All right, we gotta look at the board. All right, is this a flagrant? And it's funny because I listen to the announcers, and they're like, I don't I, I don't know what a flagrant one is anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, Doris Burke and all everyone from TNT, people that like everybody except Chris Webber that you enjoy listening to call a game, right?
All
And
the people that were watching basketball when they were out here spearing each other.
exactly. Well, you have people like Reggie Miller who are like, I don't even what like back in my day, but like even what is a flagrant? Like I know what a flagrant is, but it's just hard like that he touched him. That's not a flagrant. Like flagrant, the term inherently means something more than a foul, but
Yeah.
like it's a very weird concept. But this all back goes back into the reffing and like what should the ref digress from the rule from situation to situation in a moment?
Nah, that's your
So
job.
I mean, well, here's the reality of it though, right? Like if you go by the letter of the rules, right? Basically, every time down the floor there are fouls constantly, right? Like some of it comes down to like not just what the rule is, but like again how you officiate. And possibly one of the situations we run into now, like when we talk about like flagrants and stuff, outside of like I don't know, maybe NBA, like stressing, you know, keep these dudes from knocking the crap out of each other or something, right? Is like if we say, all right, the officiating isn't great to begin with. All right, the officiating isn't great. Then we give them more like a greater number of and more complex rules to enforce. Bad refs and a bunch of complex rules isn't going to equal like good officiating. It's not.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I also hate the rule that if you punch the air, it's an automatic technical.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
they've been calling text on dudes just expressing emotion.
That I'm like, listen, if you pay me millions, millions and millions and millions of dollars, to go play basketball, and off of one play, off of some certain calls, I might not get paid as much. I might this, I might that. Even if I'm on the end of the bench, where I'm getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. If I get a foul call on me that's not foul, I might not play as much. You are affecting my money. So I'm going to express emotion. I'm not a robot. You think I'm a robot? I'm a robot? I'm not a robot. I gotta have emotions. I'm gonna be a person and have emotions when this is my job. I have emotions and I just work with kids. I don't even get paid millions of dollars, right? But if you get paid $1 million, expect emotions. If you get paid hundreds of thousands for your average person, that's a lot of money. Expect emotions. but you can't even face away from them and fist pump the air or whatever it is. Like, come on now. Like, what are you doing? Like, they really want these people to be robots and not humans. It's so stupid to me.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and move on because we just spent 25 minutes talking about refereeing, and I feel gross because that's not what this podcast is about. But with that being said, concussions. JJ Redick. I need him in that protocol ASAP. I know you saw Zion kick the back of that man's head during the game.
No, I didn't see that part.
Zion punted that man's skull. I was like, oh, this isn't good. And he got up and he kept playing. I was like, that's somebody definitely need to be talking to you right now. They need to be asking you, how many fingers am I holding up? And do you need smelling salts? Because
Man, he good.
dude, no, if you go back and watch, it happens in like I want to say like the first quarter. His neck snaps so fast because he's already falling back because he like takes a charge, and then Zion's foot hits the back of his head, so he's falling, and that shit jerks, and then he falls back, and I'm like, that's not good. That's not good.
I love it.
Because you're sick.
No, I wanted to. Like, if we can't have something, more hard nosed on the ball, then between plays, let's see something crazy. You know what I mean?
That's how I used to feel about football, and then I watched somebody get paralyzed, and I was like, oh, yep, this isn't as fun.
Who you seen get paralyzed?
Several football players, actually.
Man, they ain't talking about football, man. Football, listen. If you play football, and
I'm worried about
if you play football, you should expect to maybe die.
Yeah, but if you play football, you shouldn't expect to get punted in the back of the skull. It just so happens that I feel really bad for my man.
If you play football, you might have to expect that because look, we love sports on this podcast. This is a podcast of love and whatever. Football barbaric.
Super.
Football barbaric. If you play football at a high level, even though you're not getting tackled by prime Ray Lewis in the 2000s and you're getting tackled by dudes in the 90s and Derrick Henry and all these legends, you still in the most barbaric sport in America. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's body is meant to get hit that many times. Your sport is meant for you to your sport is literally meant for you to get up off the ground. That's your sport. To get up off the ground. Like, it is what it is. So you talking about people getting paralyzed in football. When I watch football, somebody gets paralyzed, I go, that's the name of the beast. If it's in basketball, I'm like, okay, that's a little different, right? Because like it's a physical sport, but it ain't physical like that. And other sports you can put along those same kind of categories. But yeah, we talking about basketball, football. That's a whole different conversation.
I agree. Let's pivot.
It's like I have thoughts on football, but this isn't the place for those. But if I could because I finally got to watch the Nets with Harden and everything. The first game I caught was last week, which last week no one had power, so yeah. Anyway,
this is a political podcast.
No, and all. Yeah, it was like snow everywhere. I made a snowman. It was great. But the first that game that I saw they played Golden State, and like their defense, and I've caught a couple more games since then. I played Phoenix, and I caught the game last night largely on accident. But like their defense is basically as bad as I'd heard it was. Right? Some of these defense possessions are just terrible. And cause the thing is they're not really stopping anybody. In fairness, you can make the argument they don't have to do a whole lot with it, but it's kind of egregious. If anybody else played this defense, they'd be at the bottom of the league right now. Right? Um, but they have Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and like that makes up for a lot of it. Also, was it Joe Harris is shooting like 50% from deep, which is almost certainly because no one else, no one's got time to pay attention to him. But and and so Golden State, it's like all the games that I've seen they play. The thing with Golden State was like what they did do well on defense was like they hounded Curry constantly. And like outside of Curry and I would argue Wiggins, no one really showed up for real. Like they were missing wide open shots. They were missing layups. Like they lost because they could not hit anything. And like Curry didn't shoot well from three. He got to the rim at will. Like got to the rim at will, and there was no resistance once he was there. Also, side note, I really like Wiggins' defense. Like I seem like I really like how he plays right now. But against Phoenix, they should have lost that game. Like Phoenix like let up off the gas. They at one point they were up by almost like 30, and like the thing is, and like I think like people give like Harden credit for that win or whatever. It like the scrubs had a lot more to do with it. Like they were coming back without Harden in, right? But I think what the thing is, and part of why they keep winning these games is that these dudes like we don't really care about because like they're not that good in general, and like none of them are great defenders. They hustle. They hustle constantly, and like they do it enough that like it comes up for like it makes stuff happen for them when they need it to.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is their defense awful? Yes, it is, but they hustle. They hustle on both ends of the floor constantly, and it kind of just works out. How much that will get neutralized come playoff time, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
You know
but
what
like
they say?
isn't but
Closed mouth,
definitely.
Finland's Boulevard.
Hmm.
Nothing I just made up.
No, I'm just like, well, I'm just like the thing with the hustle though is like a lot. Like I think with a lot of players and teams during the regular season, like they're it's not gonna say they're never gonna hustle, but like most dudes in the league don't make their money by like being able to like hustle more than other dudes on the floor. Like there's some dudes who do that. That's where their money is made. But that's not most people in the league. And like so most of them aren't going to hustle like that prior to like the playoffs.
Right.
And so like I wonder when the hustle of other teams picks up, where the fact that the like the net supporting cast hustles, like will that be mitigated somewhat? Because if that gets mitigated, the net like as the Nets currently exist, they have a problem. Because if the other team's hustling as much as you, that also means your defense isn't going to do what little it does, and like you're gonna struggle to win like that, especially if another team is playing, I don't know, average, but like your defense is awful, so it's gonna look amazing. But it's like I just kind of, I'm sorry.
No, sorry. They just people are getting on this Nets bandwagon a little too quickly over these last couple of games, as you've mentioned. Like people are like, uh, you have very few moments, but you usually have a few moments in each basketball season to where something happens and you can kind of just understand the IQ of your fellow basketball fan or talking points of basketball fans and things like that. Turns out most people don't know about basketball. We know this, but you get reminded of this every so often. And the rhetoric behind this Nets team falls along in that, right? Of the last couple of weeks, people are like, man, we killing these whack teams in LA and Phoenix. Well, we killing them.
Like,
There's no
I'm,
context behind it. It's like,
I'm,
okay.
yeah, I'm just like pause for a second. Like there's folks who like made that argument they killed Phoenix. The only time that they were up was at the very end of the game,
Yeah.
and like I don't know why Phoenix stopped going to Paul like at the end there because he was just knocking down everything.
Phoenix is just a young team. Like Phoenix is a young team with young players who make like they're in the NBA, but like most young teams do. Don't worry, even LeBron when he was young, he was making the same mistakes, stupid mistakes. Most young teams do that, and they beat a young team who just happens to have one. They have like one grizzled veteran, like you know what I mean. But overall, they're a young team. Both the LA game yesterday should have lost, bad calls, whatever. And then the Lakers game, 80 didn't play, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, 80's hurt.
Yeah. What? Their second best player, who was like a top 10 player in the NBA, didn't play? Come on now. You can't disregard that. But people are disregarding it like, man, this Nets team is, I've never seen nothing like it. I'm like, y'all.
I mean, in fairness, we really haven't seen anything like it.
It's not like they're the most incredible offensive team of all time, though.
They like statistically speaking, like unless something has changed, they are like since they've gotten Harden, they've been the best offensive team of all time. They've also been the worst defensive team of all time.
Yeah.
They've specifically been the best offensive team of all time.
Yeah.
By what measure?
Like offensive rating, I think, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But I told you that was going to happen at the beginning of the season, bro. Full-time James Harden point guard with Kyrie Irving playing the two, where all he has to do is score, and then Kevin Durant. There's not a lot that you can do to stop that. That's three dudes that can just go get 25.
So you got to win championship?
I don't have them winning the championship because of the thing that we all know is the issue: defense. I partially don't know why we keep talking about like how bad their defense is. There's nothing that's going to change. Like I get they have, like, to Calvin's benefit, Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, Tyler Johnson, Jeff Green, Landry Shamet, and to some point Timothy Lawal Cabarro. All of those dudes are going to fight every single night and give 110% in effort because they have to stay in the league. When we get to like the actual playoffs, where every team has to then do the same exact thing to actually win, this Nets team is going to be exactly what we think they are. Where they're going to have to outscore you. Like they got Noah Vonleh to shore up their defense. That's who they got to help. Like this isn't.
They also got Iman Shumpert and Andre Roberson.
Bro, Iman Shumpert was in the middle of an album.
He in the league still?
No, he was in the middle of making an album. They called him up. If
Iman Shumpert don't got a flat top, I don't care. If Iman Shumpert don't got a flat top, I don't care about him.
There's nothing to get to Iman Shumpert.
Iman Shumpert is the only one that matters. This one right here, I'm in love with Tiana taking weird naked pictures with his wife guy. I'm not.
Philip, just be a hater somewhere else. Being a hater. Let that man live his life.
I can't hate?
No.
Man, you telling me I can't hate? You telling me I can't be me? Come on now.
We can hate about on court stuff. We gonna let you live your life off the court. On court, we gonna give it to you.
Okay.
But no, man, this Nets team is showing you what they are. They got some scrappy wing players. They ain't got no defense, and they got three dudes that's gonna give you all the points in the world. And James Harden's like passing, it made me blush up. I love seeing him just throw the ball around, bro. He hits everybody in the right spots. He's making like passing lanes. It's everything, bro.
Hey, relax.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Relax. He good. Yeah.
Nah, man.
They also like who's somehow convinced that like they're gonna get a defensive big on a buyout or something, which I don't understand. Like if I'm Cleveland, if I can't find a trade for like Drummond, I'd rather just keep him than like let the Nets get him. There's, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, bro, I get it, but if you the Cavs, I don't fully see the advantageous point of having Andre Drummond. I do think he's still fairly young. I feel like we keep talking about this every single time. It's always this fairy tale with the Nets. We get it. They can't play defense. They score a lot of points, and they really, really, really are praying to somebody to get a big that's not named Noah Vonleh, Jeff Green, or Kevin Durant. Because Kevin Durant was starting at center what, like 3 games ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like this Nets team a lot though. It's fun. They fun to watch. I'm just tired of hearing like the same narratives. We all know it's true. It's obvious.
And like you're just gonna at this point we're just gonna get the roller coaster of like, oh, they're amazing, they're trash. They're amazing, they're trash. Like depending upon whether or not they win. And like they managed to get out of their like little West spree without any like losses, which good for them, but like you kind of feel like they got lucky with it on it like in a couple of ways, but wins are wins at the end of the day. And like Harden flop and like I'm upset if for no other reason like I don't get an overtime or something. But like good for him. He made the right play. They won the game. Like but like it's stuff that like if you think about them like we've mentioned you're concerned like it if like if you're them you're concerned like this isn't sustainable when we get to the playoffs.
No, I definitely get it. One thing that I have noticed though with James Harden, have you ever heard any of like what players have said about James Harden when he was in high school?
No.
Mm-mm.
All right, so the scouting report a little bit on James Harden, especially when he was like younger high school days, he was just like a chubby dude that knew how to play the game. Like he had really good touch. Like he could pass. He could beat you up in a pick and roll. And I truly feel like we're getting that version of James Harden in the league.
I'm
Like
just like that just sounds like what he does now.
exactly like 6'4", 220-pound point guard, and just like physically more opposing than everybody. And I'm going to hit every shot and make every pass that you need me to. Like I appreciate this. This makes me happy.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I wish I had more to say. My bad.
Oh, you good. Do y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about? Or
No, I just want to put a statement out there real quick. We don't have to discuss it at all. But I think the most frustrating big man to ever play basketball is Miles Turner. He is so boo-boo, but he like not boo-boo, but like is boo-boo. Like it's frustrating. But that I don't want to talk about that. I just want that to be known.
yeah, but that isn't he averaging? He's having like a surprisingly really good season.
I don't know what his numbers are, but I've seen them. I've seen the Pacers play a couple times this year, and I'm just like, who are you? Like, what is your game? Because you shoot a lot of threes, and a lot of them don't go in.
And I think if it's not Rudy Gobert, I think he leads the league in blocks by like a solid margin too.
Apparently, he's doing decent about. I think Calvin's on his grind right now. I'm about to look this up. He looked focused.
Miles Turner is this season. Let me make sure I'm saying the right stats. Let me click this right quick. Yeah, so far this season he's averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, shooting 49%, 32% from deep.
Yeah,
That's like a fine stat. That's a fine stat line.
He's also averaging 3.5 blocks.
Yeah,
that's a fine stat line, right? But like, I'm like, ugh. First of all, his game is ugly. Secondly, I'm just like, this is. I don't know. Watching him play puts a bad taste in my mouth. Even though his stat line is fine, watching him play like, I'm not even about that action.
yeah. But you also don't like dudes who can't shoot but also shoot a lot.
That's not true. My favorite player was Lonzo.
Lonzo didn't shoot a lot.
But
Yeah,
he
he
is
can shoot.
now.
To shoot.
You're right, he is now, and he gunning that thing.
Yeah.
Shoot, well, I'm telling you, his stat lines right now, he might be in consideration for most improved compared to last year.
All right. If y'all don't have anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the prospects corner. Do. All right. So it is postseason time for most of the state school associations. So I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about some of the better prospects I saw over, I guess, the past week, because we ain't really past like 4 days, because we ain't have electricity for real. One dude out of Texas that I want to talk about. He is a senior out of Lovejoy, Carson Holden, 6'6", really athletic, really good shot maker. Like he hits fadeaways on like just about every shot. All I gotta say is he's a really big, athletic 6'6" wing shot maker. He hits everything off screens, curls, all of that. Really good size, easily projectable. And then for Frisco Memorial, we have a couple really good prospects. First one I'm going to talk about is Avery Jackson Jr. He is extremely consistent. It's the same thing every single game with him. He's going to get 2-3. He's going to get 2 or 3 steals. He's going to take a charge. He's going to hit 3 or 4 3-pointers from deep. He's a really good attacker off the dribble, just like a really solid point guard. His natural position is PG, but he can play off the ball because of his shooting, and he probably has like he's listed at 6'1", but he probably has like a 6'7" wingspan. It's just watching him walk around is kind of ridiculous. And then we got another shot maker out of Frisco Memorial with Drew Steffi. He just knows how to score. Like he's getting really crafty with his handle. He can hit shots from anywhere, and probably one of the more energetic dudes that we have down here in the DFW. And then to get into some national stuff, I'm doing a cycle where I go ahead and just cover all of the top prospects who are at like public schools who are in state championship runs. And one guy that I covered this week is Jabari Smith. And Jabari Smith is hands down an NBA player. We're talking about a 6'10" dude. He hit 4 threes, and one of them was like a dribble pull-up where he got the rebound. He's a top 5 prospect. He's going to Auburn. He's a very, very special kid. And then shifting over to Florida, we got Dalen Coleman playing out of Florida. He's going to Georgia Tech. He averaged 25 points per game. His nickname is Debo, and it makes sense because he pretty much looks like a free safety. He's going to hit you with his shoulder. He's going to make contact. And he's also one of the best shooters in the 2021 class. So between being a really physical 6'6" dude who's a really strong driver, he's also going to give you about like 2 or 3 shots from deep on really good efficiency. And then Calvin, this one I know you're going to like. I watched Alabama high school basketball. So I covered your boy J.D. Davidson. Mm-hmm. And that is probably the most athletic human in probably all of high school basketball right now. His activity level is like surprisingly high, and I guess you probably have to when you don't shoot super well, but he also doesn't have to shoot at all at this level. Like I really wish he would have transferred to a different like powerhouse school, because he was them little 5'6" boys he was destroying. It wasn't even fair, bro. Like if you go watch Slam, you'll see all the highlights from that game. He's just dominant, too big, too fast, too strong, and I appreciate seeing him play. But can't wait to see him play against a whole field of Division I prospects and see what that really looks like. And that is it for the prospect corner. If y'all have anything else y'all want to add, let's go ahead and do that. And if not, we can close out.
I don't got
I got
anything
nothing.
right now.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Traveling Hoopers. I am your host, Alan Pettigrew. My co-hosts, Calvin and Philip, can go ahead and sign off.
Once again, Calvin McGowan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank y'all for sticking with us through to the end. If, as always, you can listen to us like wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're joining us on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Leave something down in the comments.
Once again, it's Phil Dixon. Pleasure to be here. Shout out to Taco Bell for the new chicken tacos they're coming out with. That's right, you heard it. Chicken tacos. Shout out to America and our obesity rates. Man, that's all I got for you.